I got a new mug today, and if you were drinking a coffee this size, this off script is for you because we are talking about how tariffs are going to affect coffee prices. So even though prices of other goods have started to go down, the cost of coffee is actually at its highest in decades. Last month, the average cost of a pound of roast ground coffee reached $7.25. So what's causing this? Joining me now to discuss, coffee roaster Kat Melheim. She's also the marketing and social media manager at the online coffee trading platform Al Grano. CNN previously reported that, first I should just say hello. I'm sorry about that, Kat. Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we have talked about the fact that coffee prices are super volatile, right? Because they're affected by labor issues. They're also affected by even the threat of tariffs. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. Because, yeah, volatility right now is at an all-time high in the coffee sector. We're seeing all-time high prices of, you mentioned roasted coffee, but roasters are seeing all-time highs of green, raw, unroasted coffee.
So you got to buy the beans first.
You got to buy the beans first. You can't have roasted coffee without unroasted coffee. And then on top of that, there are these threats of tariffs. There's, climate change, which is completely unpredictable, and shipping delays, yada yada. So there's tons of volatility in the coffee industry right now.
Because these prices are so high, I'm also seeing reports about organized coffee, like thefts. Does this mean like stealing a full truck, or what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it can be. It can be stealing a full. I'm hearing the same thing. I was in Honduras last week, and there are escorts for full trucks, full container loads of coffee, because that can be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars right there.
I want to talk to you about the strategies that roasters or local coffee shops might be using to try and deal with all this. Are they raising prices?
Yeah, so the event I was at last week both had coffee producers and coffee roasters, and I was hearing from a lot of roasters that they're really afraid to raise their prices because they're afraid that consumers won't kind of go along with it, that they'll just leave.
Because we expect coffee to be cheap. Like a cup of coffee is supposed to be, I don't know, $1, $2.
You need it to wake up in the morning, right? But yeah, so I'm hearing from roasters that they're afraid to raise their prices, but the problem with that is that, as I said, the green coffee, unroasted coffee prices are at an all-time high. So roasters really, in order to kind of stay in business, or in order to support the coffee farmers, they're going to need to raise their prices.
One other thing, the National Coffee Association, I understand, has been, like everyone, trying to lobby for an exemption. I feel like every lobby group is out there, retailers, automakers, and it's basically going to the White House and being like, this is all fine, but maybe not us. How is that working out?
I mean, I'm not involved in the leadership of those organizations.
But is there a push, like
for sure, absolutely, yeah, because. Coffee, everybody needs their coffee to wake up in the morning. And if we aren't exempt, then the prices must go up.
All right, you're saying the prices must go up. Should they go up? I mean, how do you think about what the price of a cup of coffee should be?
No, that's a great question. So coffee has really been undervalued. Farmers have been underpaid for decades, if not centuries. A lot of times farmers have a hard time covering even their cost of production, which includes inputs like fertilizers, but also labor. They have a really hard time covering the cost of labor.
Yeah, you're talking about Honduras, Colombia. These are countries where also there's been mass kind of exodus of labor heading to the U.S. southern border. Yeah,
well, coffee picking, most coffee is picked still manually by hand, and it's a really, really arduous job. They're on like steep hillsides, the sun is really hot, they're very, very long days, they're carrying sacks of coffee on their back all day. So who can blame them? Nobody wants to do that.
Coffee has always been like more expensive. I mean, I don't know. It feels like, should it be more expensive? Should people adjust to this price, or is this something to fight about?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, consumers, I know this is probably a hot take, but consumers need to kind of get used to paying more for coffee, especially if they're going to local roasters, independent roasters who have direct relationships, direct sourcing from the coffee farmers. Because that's how you know that the farmers are actually making the money that the extra money that we're paying. But yeah, I mean, it's been years and years and years where people in producing countries have kind of taken a loss. And so that's kind of why we're seeing this bounce back.
So is it a luxury from now on?
I mean,
not a psychological one, an actual one.
I mean, people are happy to pay $10 for a glass of wine when they're out, $15 for a cocktail. I think, in my opinion, we need to get used to paying a little bit more for coffee. Now that, you know, lattes also have additions of milk and syrups and things like that. So those prices are set aside, like, apart from the price of coffee. But yeah, I think we need to get used to paying more for coffee.
All right, Kat Milheim, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you so much for
I appreciate you
having
for
me.
coming in.